Friday, April 29th, and this is now on HNN. Lawmakers will decide today whether to raise Hawaii's minimum wage to $18 by the year 2026.
The war in Ukraine is intensifying following deadly Russian airstrikes into the capital of Kyiv. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House as U.S. officials work to get more aid to Ukraine.
A dog's breed may determine its color or size, but when it comes to personality, all bets are off. I'm Astrid Martinez with some surprising new insights about our best friends.
These stories, plus we have a preview of some of the Mayday festivities happening this weekend. Details coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. This Is Now. Today is the deadline for state lawmakers to take action on a bill that would eventually raise Hawaii's minimum wage to $18 an hour. There are still legislative hurdles for the measure coming up this afternoon. Casey was at the state capitol earlier this morning to break it all down.
It's a huge day here at the state capitol where that measure will go to conference committee. Things could still change. We could still see a different plan. But let's walk you through where we are right now. The two bills that were originally in the House, one in the Senate, were different in the fact that they got to that $18 an hour figure a little differently. The House bill was a little bit more conservative. It took us to that $18 an hour figure by the year 2030. The Senate bill a little bit more aggressive, getting us to that figure by 2026. And they've compromised. That's where we are right now with House Bill 2510. It'll take our current minimum wage, which is at $10.10 an hour, a figure it's been at for 4 years, to $12 an hour by October of this year, $15 an hour by the year 2024, and finally $18 an hour by the year 2026. Earlier this morning, I spoke to Tom Jones, who owns Gyotaku Japanese restaurants. He says the pay hike after the last 2 years of COVID is too much too quickly. He also opposes the plan to take away the tipped employee credit, which allows businesses to pay tipped employees less. Here's why.
If they eliminate the tip credit, which is on the table with 2510, the first employees to get pay increases would be the servers, who are already making well above the minimum wage, and that would put restaurant owners like myself at a severe disadvantage to pay our other employees who are making above the minimum wage more money discretionarily over time. And last year with the COVID situation and staffing, in order for us to keep up, we gave all of our employees pay increases last year, and we'd like to continue to do that.
Supporters of the bill say that putting more money in the hands of workers will actually benefit the local economy. We set out yesterday to talk to everyday people about their thoughts on Hawaii's current minimum wage.
Well, of course it's not. Yeah, it's low. And Hawaii, I mean, it's low anywhere, but I think you maybe can make it in some states, but not here.
Everything's so expensive. We had the pandemic and inflationary increases on everything, food, everything has to be shipped here. So I'm sure people need more assistance making ends meet. So would I support it? Yeah, I would.
Supporters of the minimum wage increase bill say paying people higher wages will allow them to put more money back into the economy. Hawaii's current minimum wage is at $10.10 an hour. It has remained that for the last 4 years. Now, that current measure, House Bill 2510, is in conference committee. Members of both chambers will meet today around 3 p.m. this afternoon to hash out a new plan and hopefully get something they can send to the governor's desk. Of course, we're going to be covering any developments. We'll bring those to you on later editions of Hawaii News Now.
A final agreement has been reached on a historic bill to give $600 million to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. The money would be the largest one-time infusion of state funds to DHHL. The department can use the money to buy land, develop infrastructure for homes, or give out housing assistance. There are nearly 29,000 Hawaiians on the wait list for land, and many have waited decades.
We've just been waiting for this for such a long time. It's an emotional time, I think, for a lot of us, and I'm excited for us to take this vote.
It's a really incredible day. If you had told me 3 months ago that the legislature was going to pass $600 million to DHHL, I probably would not have believed you.
Previous language that would take beneficiaries off the wait list in exchange for housing assistance was taken out, but the department could consider that later. The bill now goes to the full House and Senate, where it's expected to easily pass on to the governor.
And an update now on that violent attack in Kapolei we were telling you about yesterday. HPD has arrested 18-year-old Lakeisha Faitele for attempted murder for allegedly stabbing a 17-year-old girl repeatedly. She has not been charged yet, but remains in custody. Police believe she attacked the victim about 3:45 yesterday morning at the Hale Moena housing complex, leaving her in critical condition. HPD has not revealed a possible motive. A new warning for parents in the Pearl City area. The Department of Education is warning families after a high school student was approached near the Momilani Rec Center yesterday afternoon. A man in a vehicle was reportedly exhibiting lewd behavior before driving off. The student got away safely, and police have been alerted.
As the search for a new Honolulu police chief drags on, another candidate has dropped out. The police commission says the withdrawal of the unnamed applicant now leaves 7 semifinalists still in the running. That's down from 19 original candidates. It's been 11 months since Chief Susan Ballard retired. It took the police commission 6 months just to hire a consultant to help with the search. The next round of testing and interviews is scheduled for mid-May.
Today, we expect to learn the names of the 7 finalists for Hawaii's school superintendent post. Then on May 19th, the board will review the finalists, and that's open to the public. The board is scheduled to vote on the new school's chief on June 16th.
A Waipahu woman is suing her former landlord after she caught him on camera inside her apartment, apparently committing multiple crimes. As Rick Daysog reports, HPD initially turned down the case, but is now reconsidered.
The man in the camouflage jacket rummaging through this Waipahu rental unit, opening the tenant's refrigerator and eating her food, is not a typical burglar. The renter says that's her landlord.
Just wanted to make sure she wasn't going crazy, basically, and she installed these video cameras around the apartment.
And last month, the cameras caught the man in her kitchen where he took out a pipe from his jacket and began smoking some kind of drug.
She was shocked. I mean, she's still traumatized. You feel you're safe in your own dwelling, and when something like this happens, it's I can't imagine.
The renter filed for a TRO and filed a complaint with Honolulu police, but her attorney says the HPD initially declined to investigate because she didn't have a formal lease. Anyone home? We tried contacting the owner by phone. Hello? And no one was home when we came by. We aren't identifying him because he hasn't been charged with a crime. Even without a formal lease, experts say that renters have a right to privacy and that landlords need to provide notice before they enter their apartments. Dan O'Mara, an attorney with the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii, says landlords also have to have a specific reason for entering an apartment, such as a leaky faucet or backed up toilet.
Only if there's an emergency can a landlord come in, and clearly in this situation, that wasn't the case.
Both he and the woman's attorney also questioned the HPD's initial decision not to investigate the case.
When someone goes to the police in a case like this, they expect the police to do something to protect them.
The HPD now says that based on new information, it will reach out to the victim and review the case further. Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
The family of a Tennessee man confirms he was killed while fighting with Ukrainian forces, making him the first American killed as a result of this conflict. Russia continues its bombardment of much of Ukraine, including a strike in Kyiv that killed a journalist. Meanwhile, Congress approved a measure that would allow the U.S. to provide aid and weapons to Ukraine in their fight against Russia. Skylar Henry has the latest.
The family of 22-year-old Marine veteran Willie Joseph Cancel says he was killed while fighting along with international forces in Ukraine. He's believed to have joined the conflict in March. Cancel leaves behind a wife and an infant son.
Our hearts go out to his family and loved ones. We don't have official confirmation, even though we've seen the reports.
This is the aftermath of Russian strikes on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, which bombarded the city during the UN Secretary General's visit. The Kremlin says the target was a missile factory. But a journalist with the U.S.-funded Radio Free Europe, seen here in a recent selfie video, was killed by airstrikes in her apartment across the street from where the UN Secretary General was staying. Meanwhile, Ukrainian officials say they're trying to rescue civilians holed up in a besieged steel plant in Mariupol.
It's difficult to look at some of the images and imagine that any well-thinking serious, mature leader would do that.
Friday, Ukraine's president tweeted his thanks to the U.S. for its support of his country. One day after President Biden called on Congress to approve an additional $33 billion in Ukraine aid.
We hope to, as soon as possible, pass that legislation.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's all for linking Ukraine aid together with COVID funding in one bill if necessary. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Now to the pandemic. Local health facilities are mirroring the governor's COVID transition from emergency response to public health management. Clinics and healthcare officials say that's because the community is more prepared than ever for the virus. That includes having more antiviral treatments available soon.
Internally, we try to identify resources to staff up areas that we think are going to need more support. Is the community going to need more at-home tests, or are they going to need more vaccinations? Also, there's some really great drugs on the market now to treat COVID for those that are positive. So ordering more of those drugs and making them available. It's those kind of preparedness measures that we're taking now.
Right now, there are only 2 COVID patients in the ICU in Hawaii.
Happening now in Hilo, there will be a free giveaway of at-home tests and N95 masks. It's going to be at the Hilo Civic Auditorium's main entrance on Manono Street. There is enough for the first 1,500 people.
A highly contagious strain of avian flu that has likely killed hundreds of birds and spread across more than 24 states has been detected in a human for the first time in the U.S. The Colorado Health Department says the man was working on a commercial farm and was involved in culling poultry suspected to be infected when he was directly exposed. The man, described as younger than 40, has reported only one symptom, fatigue, and was taking the antiviral drug Tamiflu. Between the pandemic and the challenges of school and life, the U.S. is dealing with a mental health crisis among children. A new survey says the majority of parents believe it is important to talk to their kids about mental health, but more than half of them say they need help knowing how to start that conversation. Michael George has more.
Zenier Bory Thomas makes it a priority to talk with her children about their thoughts and feelings. She asked them to say a highlight and lowlight of their day.
I started having those conversations at night with both my son and daughter, and I found that asking those specific questions got a little bit more out of him versus, yes, Mommy, it was a fine day.
A survey from Nationwide Children's On Our Sleeves program shows most parents know it's important to talk to children about mental health, but more than half need help knowing how to start the conversation. Pediatric psychologist Dr. Ariana Howitt directs On Our Sleeves. Its mission, break the stigma and provide resources for families. This month, they're launching Operation Conversation.
It's all about teaching adults how to have conversations with children, conversations in general, building the habit, but also conversations that are difficult. So how to talk about their mental health if you're worried about them, how to talk about current events.
On Our Sleeves has tips to start the conversation and keep it going, and for problem solving and giving advice to kids.
Every day, a time when there's low distractions, maybe dinner time, in the car ride, at bedtime, asking open-ended questions about a child's day. What was the best part of your day? Is there something bothering you right now?
Zenier says her family has had to tackle difficult conversations, from the pandemic to racism.
When you are trying to stay healthy, you have to take care of your heart, and you also have to take care of your brain and your mental health.
She also models for her children it's okay to express emotions. Michael George, CBS News.
Yeah, and it's difficult to even, as an adult, wrap your mind around what we've been through the last couple of years. Important information and
Switching
ideas
to
there.
weather now, you guys. The National Weather Service just wrapped up a press conference about Hurricane Preparedness Week. Now, the season doesn't start until June, but officials are encouraging residents to start getting prepared early.
Hurricane Preparedness Week starts on Sunday. It's still early, so there's still time to prepare for hurricane season. Hurricane Preparedness Week focuses on what we can do now, ahead of time while the weather's quiet, to safeguard your home, your business, your family, and yourself. We also know that preparing for a hurricane isn't the same here as it is on the mainland. We can't drive out of a hurricane zone. We also know we're more vulnerable to being isolated and cut off, and have to be ready to support ourselves and our neighbors.
We continue to see disruptions in supply chains worldwide. So if you are planning a project to strengthen your home for hurricane season, or even just to stock up on emergency supplies, we encourage you to beat the rush.
The past 2 years have been La Nina years. They've been very quiet. And the big question now is whether we'll stay in La Nina, go back to neutral, or anything else. And during the springtime, it's difficult to make that multi-season forecast beyond the spring. So we need to get as much information as possible to make a good forecast. So hopefully once we get through April, we'll have a better idea from May onward what will be happening. And that'll be come out in the seasonal outlook on May 18th.
Winds will be picking up speed. That's the one thing that's going to be a constant for the next several days. Breezy trade winds, except of course for the Kona side of the Big Island. And these breezy winds will linger into the latter part of next week. Here's your 7-day forecast. Though again, like I said, breezy winds into next week. We are going to have just a few showers today and tomorrow, mainly windward and Mauka, mainly early morning and overnight. Middle part of the day, not much rain at all. Until Sunday, that's when we'll see an increase in showers from a disturbance all the way through Tuesday. The showers will favor Hawaii Island and Maui County. Rainfall totals should be on the light side.
Thank you, Guy. And I stole another busy sunriser this morning who's got a lot of work ahead of him this weekend. But we've already talked to so many special people, even right here in the Digital Center, ahead of Mayday, Billy. All the fun, of course, starting this weekend on Sunday, right?
Well, yeah, you know, Mayday is a special time. This goes back to the 1920s when Mayday first started. But let's get into how things are going to be for 2022. Hawaiian Airlines Mayday 2022, presented by the Hawaiian Islands. That's happening coming up on Sunday, starting at 7 p.m. And you've got the best seats. If you are watching on K5 television, it will be live.
We have Keoho, Robert Casimiro, Halauna Kamale. We have Manu Boy, Kainani Kahonaele, Kamale Kava'a. We have a variety of halau. Many, if not all of them, have just came back from Hilo, from Marine Monarch. And we're going to be there live on the grounds of Bishop Museum.
It'll be live, but the audience will be a studio audience. The event was in the planning stages last year when we were very much in a COVID state. Organizers are looking forward to it being a very public event next year. The program will feature not only great music and performances, but stories that dive deeper into aloha aina, perfect for kama'aina and malihini all throughout the show. Sunday's festivities will also be broadcast on Facebook Live and at HawaiiNewsNow.com. There is a brand new Eddie Kamai songbook that's going to be out on Sunday. And actually, it's celebrating the legacy of the legendary songwriter, recording artist, and filmmaker Eddie Kamai. Sunday, starting at noon, is a celebration with many of the well-known names that were associated with Eddie Kamai and the Sons of Hawaii. Lots of live music that'll be part of the Mayday celebration at Royal Hawaiian Center. The songbook will be online for free at eddiekamaisongbook.org. Here's a couple more performances for you for Mayday. Kalani Pi'a will be at the Hawaii Theater Center at 2 p.m. Three-time Grammy and Hoku Award winner Mele Apana will MC. Hoku Zudameister, Ho'okena, Keilana, Halau Hula o Kamuela. Tickets are on sale at the Hawaii Theater box office. And finally, Carl Vito Baker and Michael Lanakila Kasupang. They are na kumuhula for Halau I Kawei Kiu. They are going to be at the fundraiser concert, Mayday at the Waikiki Shell. All proceeds from the concert benefit the Halau Ka'ua Koko Foundation to perpetuate the art of hula and Hawaiian culture. The concert includes a kahiko section that will take the audience on a journey across the island chain, featuring the musical stylings of Na Kumu, Moon Kaukahi, and Horace Dudois. So as you can see, Casey, Mayday.
Very good. Lots of fun and lots of beautiful, beautiful culture to look forward to.
And just a reminder, Mayday is Lay Day in Hawaii.
I
Casey,
love it. The one and only Billy V.
Back to you.
We'll send it to Ash now.
Thank you, Case. Now let's see what the internet is talking about. Big entertainment news, you guys.
Right.
CBS's Late Show host James Corden announced he's leaving the gig about a year from now. Now, the British comedian said he wants to explore other opportunities, and he was emotional when talking about stepping away from the show where he's been for more than 7 years. As for what comes next, Corden says he doesn't know just yet.
I'm applying for the job, Ash.
Oh, you'd be great. You'd be great.
Yeah, it would be fun, but I dream. Well, in more entertainment news, something to tell you about Lady Gaga, as if we needed another reason to be excited for the upcoming release of the Top Gun Maverick film. Lady Gaga recently announced that she's written a new song for the film. She posted this photo on her Instagram page, writing in part, "The song is a love letter to the world during a very difficult time. I wanted you to hear it for so long, and I'm so excited to give it to you on May 3rd. Hold My Hand is the title." She's apparently been working on this composition for years. Top Gun Maverick, by the way, which I'm excited about, set to hit theaters sometime next month.
I'm excited too, but Top Gun is such a classic, I just hope that...
They do it justice?
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm scared.
Highway to the danger zone.
What an octave.
Oh, I'll stop. We've got some good news, right,
Yeah,
Ash?
so some insight into our best friends today. 2 new studies about dogs have brought a few surprising revelations about life expectancies and personalities. Here's Astrid Martinez with more.
Larry Rosenberg says his Cavalier King Charles Spaniel is ideal for New York apartment living.
He's only 5 months old and he's a puppy. He requires a tremendous amount of exercise. But they eventually really evolve into lap dogs, which they were sort of bred to be.
And Roxana Enriquez says her Rat Terrier is the affectionate pup she was hoping for.
He's very just chill and very loving.
But a genetic study at the University of Massachusetts finds the breed explains only 9% of a dog's behavior. The rest might be shaped by environment and life experience, meaning not all retrievers retrieve and not all huskies howl.
Sometimes I think we have a tendency to pay attention to the dogs, kind of remember the ones that fit into our stereotypes and forget about the ones that don't fit into our stereotypes.
A dog's breed might not predict its behavior, but it might tell us something about how long your pup is likely to live. A study from the Royal Veterinary College found a broad range in life expectancies. Jack Russell Terriers live the longest, averaging 12.7 years, and French Bulldogs are at the bottom of the list with a life expectancy of just 4.5 years. But at the dog park, age is just a number. It's all about attitude.
I would describe her personality as friendly, but she's also kind of the queen bee, so she doesn't get pushed around really easily.
With dogs, just like their human friends, each one is truly unique. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
Oh, dogs are the best.
So your dog, Stanley,
Yeah.
you guys just got, what would you describe his personality?
Sweet.
Playful, sweet.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
bouncing around.
He's very submissive too with
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. And the dogs said that Doberman, not all Dobermans are guard dogs.
Right.
Some of them, like Luca, shout out Luca the Doberman, are very, very calm and
Very
kind
sweet.
and sweet and lap
Not
dogs.
scary.
Not scary at all.
Yeah. One last bit of news on this Aloha Friday, you guys. Congratulations to Waipahu Elementary's Aaron Tominaga. He's been named the 2022 Hawaii National
awesome.
Distinguished Principal. So he was surprised by the news yesterday with his colleagues. We're told he spearheaded an effort to provide support for his students and boost their test scores. 50% of the students at Waipahu are English language learners, and 95% are eligible for free and reduced price meals. Congratulations to him.
Way to go, Aaron. Our teachers do not get enough credit, that's
they
for sure.
don't.
Well, thank you for